I am Christian von Carmian, and I like Battle Sisters. I want to run the maximum number of Battle Sisters possible. And it worked. It shouldn't work, but it does. Picture this. 70 Battle Sisters rushing screaming up the table, advancing and shooting as we go. Every objective we pass is consecrated and left under our control as this tide of righteous sisters reaches into the enemy deployment zone with all enemies purged along the way. It happened. It is real. Orcs and World Eaters dream of it, but now it is our strategy. 70 Battle Sisters! Now I know this video is coming out on what is April the 1st for some of you, but this is not a meme list. It is valid. What we are covering in this video is the army list, what the units can do, how the army plays as a whole, its strengths, its weaknesses, and how things are since the balance patch. Oh yeah, we're fine on that. Functioning normally, and haven't had to swing into wildly unconventional or extreme tactics to play the game with a modicum of success. What? The first question you probably have is, how do you get 70 Battle Sisters? The maximum you're allowed is 60, that is 6 squads of 10, because you can only have 6 lots of the same battle line unit. By having a Battle Sister unit that is not the Adepta Sororitas Battle Line unit, a separate extra one. This is an Adepta Sororitas Battle Sister. This is an Imperial Agent Sister of Battle. Okay? Battle Sister, Sister of Battle. Battle Sister, Sister of Battle. Different units, different name, different codexes. With the Imperial Agent's assigned agent rule, you can have one requisitioned unit of either Grey Knight Terminators or a Sister of Battle squad in any Imperium army when you're playing games of up to 2,000 points. So we'll be taking one Sisters of Battle squad in addition to our 6 Battle Sister squad. This isn't confusing, but I am going to mix up the names a bunch of times in this video. And this army doesn't just have the maximum number of Battle Sisters possible, it is possibly the maximum number of immolators you can have. There are 6 immolators in this list. 6 Adepta Sororitas Immolators. And then there are 2 Sisters of Battle Immolators. Transports can be brought over using the assigned agents rule. They don't take up a slot. You can have the normal number of 6 of any kind of transport. The problem is you need to have a unit embarked within it at the start of the game, and the Imperial Agents are the only ones that can go inside the Imperial Agents transports, so that's where you get the limit on the real number. Let me take you through the army list. We have an Imagifier. They are our warlord. We need to include at least one character. There are 10 Battle Sisters in an Immolator, 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 10 Sisters of Battle split across 2 Imperial Agents, Sisters of Battle Immolators, and then an Exorcist. It may be worth noting, just for funny giggle reasons, in addition to all the other funny giggle reasons in this list, that the Allied Sisters are points per model, not per unit, but we're going to ignore that because Games Workshop certainly has when it comes to balance patches and points updates. No, it's 115 points per model. That's not correct. But there we go. Right, the Adepta Sororitas Battle Sisters. There's 10 of them. The superior can have a power sword or a chainsword, and they can swap out their bolt gun for a different weapon, which you should do. One sister in the unit can have a stormbolter or melter gun or flamer. Another one can have a stormbolter, flamer, melter gun, or heavy flamer, or multi-melter, or heavy bolter. And one sister with a bolt gun can have a simulacrum imperialis. We are Adepta Sororitas, so we can use the Acts of Faith, we can use miracle dice to change different rolls, like advance rolls, like saving throws, like damage rolls and wound rolls. Those are the things you'll be using it on the most. Mostly the damage. The unit has a cherub, so when you use a miracle dice on the unit, you get another miracle dice. With the Simulacra Imperialis, at the end of your command phase, if you control the objective with at least one model within the unit, it doesn't have to be the model with the Simulacra Imperialis, you roll a 4+, on a 1 to 3 you get nothing, on a 4 you get a miracle dice showing a 4, on a 5 you get a miracle dice showing a 5, on a 6 you get a miracle dice showing a 6. It's not on a 4+ you get a miracle dice and then you roll for that miracle dice. You're going to get either a nothing, or you get a 4 or a 5 or a 6. And as they are the defenders of the faith, if you control an objective marker at the end of your command phase, that objective marker remains under your control even if there are no models within range of it, until your opponent controls it at the start of any turn. The rules commentary changed that to be at the end of any phase. That's under the objective secured rule. Most people know this as sticky objectives. They're fragile because they're toughness 3, they have a decent 3+ save, 1 wound only, but objective control 2. So they're decent at controlling objectives, they're good at generating more miracle dice, and with melter weapons they have an okay damage output. The Adepta Sororitas Immolators are pretty decent tanks, toughness 10, 11 wounds. They come equipped with a heavy bolter, and all of the Adepta Sororitas Immolators I've given a twin multi-melter. Because it's twin linked, you automatically reroll wound rolls, and because you have access to miracle dice, you can change the damage rolls. One of its abilities is Purge and Cleanse. In your shooting phase, after you've shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of your attacks. You don't have to fire all of your shots at one enemy unit. You could fire the heavy bolter at one enemy, or the hunter-killer missile at an enemy. As long as you hit, then you're going to trigger Purge and Cleanse, which means that that enemy unit cannot have the benefit of cover for the rest of the phase. Very useful if you're going to hit something with a 3+ save with melter weapons, because then they're changed to a 7+ save. Oh, they can't save. Whereas with the benefit of cover, they could save on a 6. And it happens, and it's annoying. So this gets rid of that issue. The benefit of cover is very common and easy to get in this edition. But the main reason to take the Immolator is because it turns one squad into 2 squads. One Battle Sister squad becomes 2 units of 5 Battle Sisters. And then after that you can attach characters to one of the half units. Those half units are now completely separate units for the rest of the game. They do not affect each other in any way. One of the units of 5 sisters has to start inside a transport, and one of the units of 5 sisters has the cherub, the other one doesn't. This only applies to Codex Adepta Sororitas Battle Sisters. The allied Sisters of Battle that are put into the Sisters of Battle Immolator do not have to choose which one of them gets a cherub. Each of them get a cherub, because it is a unit ability. The FAQ and errata only applied to the Adepta Sororitas units. So it's a weird thing. Adepta Sororitas get 1 cherub between the 2 units. The allied sisters get 2 cherubs, 1 each for the 5 sisters. With limited miracle dice, because we only get 1 per battle round, not 1 per player turn, I couldn't get through all of my cherubs. Sometimes there was no reason to use a miracle dice of a 4, just in case I got a worse one from a cherub. But if you have a miracle dice of a 1, you can use it on 1 hit roll on a bolt gun, just to use the cherub ability to get a better miracle dice. The Imagifier is a good choice of leader, not for their ability to give a unit a 2+ save and a 4+ invulnerable save, but because of Litany of Deeds. Each time you get a miracle dice from an Adepta Sororitas unit being destroyed, if the Imagifier model is within 12 inches, you can choose to reroll the miracle dice before it gets added to your miracle dice pool. That's great in this army because we have a lot of units. We have all the Immolators. We have all of the Sisters units being split in half. Every unit of 5 is a unit for gameplay purposes. They're their own unit as soon as the game starts. So each unit of 5 that dies is another miracle dice to be used on melter weapon damage rolls or wound rolls. So when it comes to splitting squads, don't make the mistake of thinking they are somehow connected, that because one squad of 5 is in engagement range or below half strength, that this somehow affects the other squad of 5. It doesn't. They are separate units. Each squad of 5 is a unit, and for each squad destroyed, you get a miracle dice. This only applies to the Adepta Sororitas Sisters, not to the allied Battle Sisters. I mean Sisters of Battle. Each of the Immolators from the Adepta Sororitas had the twin multi-melter. The allied Immolators had the Immolation Flamers. Because they can't use miracle dice, which are very useful on the random damage melter weapons. But the Sisters of Battle allied Immolators still have Purge and Cleanse to remove the benefit of cover from enemy units. That is affecting the enemy unit. It applies to any of your units shooting that target for the rest of the phase. Immolation Flamers auto-hit, so you know you're definitely going to get a hit against the enemy unit and remove the benefit of cover. You don't need the heavy bolter turrets, as all of the immolators have a heavy bolter anyway. That's enough heavy bolters, especially when the other choices are flamers or melters. They're better. So this is 8 immolators. The maximum we can have from the Adepta Sororitas is 6, but we take 2 allied Sisters of Battle immolators, and then as dedicated transports, they have to have a unit inside them at the start of the game. But you are not required to put a whole unit that is split into each one. So not every immolator needs a unit of 10 Sisters, Dominions, or Novitiates. Or in this case, Sisters of Battle. Squad. Allies. So the allied Sisters are split by one of the immolators, 5 of them start inside that immolator, the other 5 Sisters from that squad start in the other immolator. When I'm splitting each of these Sisters units, one immolator would have the heavy weapon and the special weapon and the superior, and 2 Sisters with bolters and the cherub. The other squad of 5 would have 5 Sisters with bolters, one of them carrying the simulacrum. Those would be on foot. Their job is to go to the objectives, sit on the objectives, and if you control the objectives, try and generate a miracle dice. The allied Sisters of Battle squad is a little bit different. They still have the Defenders of the Faith ability to control objectives even after you've left them. Their Incensor Cherub is different to the Battle Sisters Cherub. It gives them once per battle command reroll for free. So that's useful if you want to reroll the damage on a melter weapon. And their simulacrum doesn't generate miracle dice, it improves the leadership characteristic of a unit by 1. So for the Sisters of Battle squad, I put the simulacrum in with the other specialist weapons. So in their case, a melter gun, heavy bolter, condemner bolt gun superior, sister with a simulacrum, and 1 sister with a bolt gun, and the other unit had 5 sisters with bolt guns. Their job is just to be dropped off on an objective, or travel somewhere to complete missions. So the weapons for the Battle Sisters, 4 of the Adepta Sororitas squads had melter guns and multi-melters as their upgraded weapons, and their superiors had a condemner bolt gun or hand flamer or inferno pistol. Squad E had a flamer and a heavy flamer with a hand flamer superior, giving me 3 weapons that can do decent overwatch against very low toughness enemies like Gretchen or mutoid vermin, things like that. Squad F had a melter gun, heavy flamer, and a combi weapon superior, and the allied sisters had a melter gun, heavy bolter, and condemner bolt gun. There is a very clever reason for all of these weapons and why I didn't pick multi-melters for each of them. I ran out of multi-melter models. The multi-melter parts only come in the Retributor box, and though you can kit bash multi-melters out of the Sisters of Battle kit with the heavy flamer and melter gun barrels, I have not bought the Retributor box. I found it too expensive in money terms. So my multi-melters are kit bashed, or are the older Metal Sisters. I have proxied in the past, but with this many sisters running around, I didn't want to. It's easy to get confused. I could have had 2 melter guns in a squad, that's an option, but I prefer a heavy bolter or a heavy flamer for a bit of variety. And we can't forget the Exorcist. I have an Exorcist because I love them and cannot bear to be without one. It's very nice anti-tank at range, it's the highest strength we have outside of hunter-killer missiles, and it has a good response to enemies deep striking into your deployment zone and charging the Exorcist. Don't worry. Then the Exorcist missile launcher can still fire at them point blank with big guns never tire, as the Exorcist missile launcher doesn't have blast. And with the Bringers of Flame detachment rule, the missiles are strength 11. So let's talk about the detachment choice. Which is maybe obvious, with this many transports I wanted the Bringers of Flame detachment. We are not afraid to get within 6 inches of the enemy. Advancing and shooting keeps the sisters moving, and it makes up in part for them not being Dominions who have assault on all of their weapons apart from the superior. This detachment rule does not apply to the allied immolators or Sisters of Battle, so they are the ones best kept at the back completing actions and maybe attacking the enemy. Maybe. That's the army list and the units and all of their weapons and why I included them and what they do. So how does the army play as a whole? Well, it's a tide of Battle Sisters rushing up the board. With immolators. Enemies usually have to split fire to kill more than 5 sisters and they risk wasting shots. I know this is a feature of multiple small unit tactics, but it is an aspect you may not have realized before. Experienced players rarely want to split fire. They know it can lead to 2 units not being destroyed, but this way, we force overkill. they will put a lot more effort than needed into killing 5 sisters. And 5 happy martyrs can get in the way of 20 orcs or a rampaging Krutox or similar. 4 strength 12 attacks that could wreck an Immolator can never kill 5 sisters in one round. Unless there's sustained hits or some other shenanigans. We can follow up those martyrs with 3 more sister units moving in, claiming the objective. 1 can complete an action because we have enough objective control to control it, while the other 2 make use of +1 strength on range weapons to hammer the enemy. Just remember to keep squads of 5 at a distance from each other to make multi-charging harder. I messed that up a couple of times. Because I wanted to be close to the Imagifier, it's not worth it for a reroll. Don't lose more sisters than you need to. As we have a lot of units and each of our dead units, each squad of 5, generates a miracle dice on death, because we have that back from the March balance patch of 2025 after losing it in the December 2024 balance patch. We have that. That is a lot of miracle dice. Some of them are bound to be high, right? Yeah, right? Well, they should be with the Imagifier. The Imagifier is with a unit of 5 on foot and follows as closely as advance rolls allow behind the Immolators to reroll bad miracle dice generated in that way. So by having such a weird and unusual, let's not say we're weird, we're unusual in our army list choice. So enemies have to deal with lots of vehicles and lots of infantry and are rarely equipped to deal with both in such numbers. Can your 2,000 point army take on 14 infantry units and 9 tanks? And we can't easily lose objectives just by having units move onto them, because each sister and immolator is objective control too. And we are very good on secondary missions. There are always units around to complete actions. If you ever need to do something like move bombs, set up objective, cleanse everything, you can. You have the board control and high objective control. You can keep up the pressure, barely lose units, and score victory points. Enemies find it hard to deep strike as soon as you disembark from the immolators, because lots of bodies deny deep strike within 9 inches, unless you're playing with extra expansion rules. Those are separate, they're in a different video. With so many small units, there's not a lot of utility for stratagems. Well, you would think so, but I got your stratagem right here. Every turn you can cause some mortal wounds with grenades. I could have done a cleansing flame on the unit with the flamer weapons, but that's only 3 weapons, not the 8 hand flamers you get from a squad of Seraphim. But Carry Forth the Faithful was useful just for getting to an objective quickly, with a miracle dice on an advance roll to guarantee it, then get your sisters out to control the objective. If you are on the objective after falling out of a destroyed immolator, your unit is immediately battle shocked, so enemies can control it easier at the end of their turn, and a few losses from being inside the tank when it was destroyed can wreck any chance of having a functioning unit. Plus, both the immolator and disembarking sisters can shoot because Carry Forth the Faithful counts as a normal move for the sisters, and the immolator can shoot because of the detachment rule, giving all units assault. Rites of Fire was useful against enemy vehicles on objectives. It has a lot of conditions to work. A unit that disembarks, an enemy within 6 inches of them, and on an objective. But it can be essentially +2 to wound, which is normally not possible. A Strength 9 Melter Gun becomes Strength 10 because of the detachment rule, and then you get to add +1 to wound. Against a Toughness 9 vehicle, your Melter weapons that would have been wounding on a 4+, are now wounding on a 2+, because strength is higher, and then +1 to wound. And bolter weapons are wounding on a 4+. But grenades or the command point reroll for the damage was the most reliable use of a command point. If I had more melter weapons, then each of the allied sisters units of 5 should have one of their own melter weapons, even if it's just a melter gun each, because their Incensed Cherub lets them reroll. So if you have a melter weapon in each one, that melter gun once per game gets a free reroll of the damage roll. I prefer to have 2 dedicated units. One to fire the melter guns, the other one to complete objectives and be annoying by re-rolling and passing an armor save or something like that. Okay, so what's the bad side of this list? Well, it does, like, one thing. Have lots of sisters supported by immolators, or vice versa. There's not a lot of punch besides the immolator multi-melters, the hunter-killer missiles, and the Exorcist. That is enough for most tanks. You just keep ganging up on them with more and more multi-melters until they go down. But we struggle a bit more against heavy infantry armies. armies with lots of aggressors. Death Guard were difficult because I really wanted to be fighting in the Army of Faith against the Death Guard, because then we can go, now you have no army rule. It costs a command point and you have to do it every turn, but it's a thing we can do. In that detachment, with this army list and the Bringers of Flame, it's much harder to take down the Plague Marines. We don't have that many shots, and we don't have high damage attacks outside of the melter weapons. There's no Repentia, there's no Palatine, there's just melter guns and a prayer. And if the enemy has lots of strength 4 shooting with an amount of armor penetration, the sisters die. It could be combat weapons instead, like metamorphs. So I don't just mean intercessors in big squads with their double shooting extra rule, but I do mean units of 5 intercessors, firing 20 shots plus a grenade launcher. That will usually kill 5 sisters without any trouble, and we can't kill them back with another 5 sisters, so we have to be careful when we get out of our transports. This is an army that wants to push forward very quickly. A lot of models and tanks that could get trapped in your deployment zone as we have no infiltrators or scouts, so be prepared to put several units in reserve. 2 immolators were standard for me, but you could do more or fewer depending on your opponent. If they can trap you with infiltrating units or really fast units like Zogwart and his super speedy scouting and 12-inch moving Gretchen in the War, units in reserves can get around them by coming on in Battle Round 2 in No Man's Land. And when coming from reserves, although the Immolator can only be set up within 6 inches of the board edge, the sisters can immediately disembark as long as they stay 9 inches from enemies. That's in the rules commentary, page 13 of the current version at time of recording. This can let you move in and take an unoccupied objective near the edge of the board. In Battle Round 3, that could be the enemy's home objective if they'd left it empty, or you'd killed what was on it with the Exorcist. This is an army that wants to put the pressure on the enemies and get board control quickly with our speed. If they are an army that can do the same, it may depend on who goes first as to which one is more likely to win. But I need to ask you, would you like to buy some Battle Sisters and or Immolators? I have affiliate links. You can get Battle Sisters and Immolators cheaper than going through Games Workshop. You could buy 7 boxes of Battle Sisters, I'm just saying. And any money spent through those affiliate links will help my channel in the process with funding, at no additional cost to you. A lot of the tactics used with this very fun list were from a previous video I made on Mechanized Sisters. I didn't go over all of the tactics today because I already have that video for you to watch, and it shows you how this army, well, a very transport heavy army, could work in the Hallowed Martyrs instead of the Bringers of Flame. My darlings and viewers, 70 Battle Sisters!